Welcome to another episode of Jonathan Talking Football. I don't have a really good name yet. I'm looking for suggestions if you have any. But let's get right into it. You clicked the title. I said basically the Los Angeles Rams laid the blueprint on how not to win a Super Bowl. Now you might be confused. It's like, isn't it like win at all cost? Which it is. Like, congratulations to the Rams. That's not entirely what I meant. Like, you should do whatever it takes to win. But I'm more talking about the outlook for the future and how they're kind of screwed over. Kind of really, they're screwed over. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. First of all, let's talk about the news that's been coming from the Rams. There's been stirrings the day of the Super Bowl that if they win, Aaron Donald might retire and Sean McVay might retire. First of all, Aaron Donald is entered himself into conversations as the best defender ever. So losing a guy of that title, that's a problem. That's a problem. And Sean McVay established himself as a young, really good coach. He's only 36. Really good coach. Him stepping down would be pretty bad. Pretty bad. Um so you lose those two pieces. Not a great start, and I hate to tell you, it gets worse. Cause you have to look back. How did they establish this team? Well, first of all, they just built it greatly, like finding talent, all that stuff. But also, main thing, trades. Trades back to, I think the first big splash they made was Jalen Ramsey, with the Jaguars. I have all the info pulled up. They talked to the Jaguars, said we'll give you a 2020 to 2021 first round pick, um, and a 2021 fourth round pick for Jalen Ramsey. Those picks are passed. Lot to give up. They gave up a lot of capital there. Got Jalen Ramsey. Okay. And then they had to pay him. Gotta you gotta pay him. Um, so that's a lot of money. All right, but like you have a start, cool. Then you have there's a whole bunch of other trades, um, but just I'm highlighting the main ones. The Matt Stafford trade. How did they get their quarterback? They had Jared Goff, but apparently the relationship with him and McVay wasn't great. Um, and he wasn't really cutting it. He couldn't really get them over the top. He took them to a Super Bowl, but they kind of hit a ceiling, and that was kind of their limit. So they traded for Matt Stafford. They gave up Jared Goff, a 2021 third, a 2022 first, a 2023 first to get Matt Stafford, which is a lot for a plus 30 quarterback. But they got it. They got their quarterback, Super Bowl. We all know the story. Then there's the Von Miller trade, 2022 second round pick and a 2022 third round pick. Again, a lot of capital for an aging Von Miller, who still was fantastic. But yeah, still a lot. And then Sony Michel, they got him when Cam Akers went down, and they didn't think he'd return the way he miraculously did. They give up a 2022 sixth round pick and a 2023 fourth round pick. So immediately, they give up a lot of capital for these guys. And I have pulled up their draft picks, right? It's not looking good. This year they have two picks. They have two picks. They have a fifth round pick and a seventh round pick. So Rams fans, there's not a lot for you to be watching when the draft comes around. There's not. So it's going to be a boring one for you because you guys gave up pretty much everything. Lions have the first, Broncos have the second. Oh wait, you have a third round pick. You got a conditional third round pick. My fault. Or you get a third. Okay. So Broncos get one of your third. The Texans and Panthers get one of your third, one of your fourth. Patriots get a sixth. Oh yeah, and you have a seventh. You have two seventh. Okay. So not a lot to work with. If you don't have any picks in the first two rounds, It's a problem. It is a problem. But then you're like, okay, we gave up capital, but at least we have these guys. We got these guys. We're good for the future. Eh, eh, not really. Because if you look at all the free agents, I'm going to read them off. Bear with me. Von Miller, Darius Williams, Sony Michel, Austin Corbett, who's a guard, offensive lineman, important. Odell Beckham, Johnny Munt, Dante Dion, Buddy Howell, Joseph Noteboom, Coleman Shelton, Brian Allen, Travin Howard, John Wolford, Matt Gay, Ogbania Okoronkwo. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. I really tried. I'll get it. I will get it. Sebastian Joseph, Troy Reeder, Will Compton, Antoine Brooks Jr. That's a lot. And Andrew Whitworth, he's like 142 years old. I'm imagining he'll retire. And that's your left tackle. That's a problem. But then you're like, okay, well, who wouldn't want to return to a Super Bowl champion? That's easy. We can just pay him. You know why they leave a Super Bowl champion? They leave to get paid. And the Rams, you can't really pay anyone. You are negative $10,552,364 in debt. Under the salary cap. So you have no room. You have no room. So I went through wall after wall on how this is going to be a pain in the behind to try to fix. Now, I'm not saying it's game over. This is your ceiling. It's all over. It could very well be all over. This could be the one and done. But, like, you can restructure some contracts. I'm not a pro on how that works, but I'm sure if the guys want to win, they'll say, hey, you can restructure my contract to make some wiggle room. That's not a problem. But I don't know how much you're going to get from that restructured contract. But if you're losing all these players, plus Aaron Donald, plus the coach, and you're left with basically Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp, and then Jalen Ramsey, I mean, you'll be a good team, but it's just like the scare factor is going to go away a bit. A big bit. So now that kind of takes me to, was this a good way to win a Super Bowl? There's obviously no wrong way to win a Super Bowl. If you win a Super Bowl, you win a Super Bowl. That's the ultimate goal in the league. So you do whatever it takes. But I would heavily advise teams. Now I have no say. I'm sitting in a chair in my basement. They don't care what I say. But to not overhaul your picks, find another way first, Make sure you have young talent to grow. Make sure you're saving draft capital so you can stay good. Because, it's good to be good, but it's also good to stay good, right? Because you don't want to be a team that wins and then kind of goes away. Right, you want longevity. That's another thing that's aimed for in the league. That's hard to do. You only see teams like the Chiefs and the Patriots are they were good for a long time because they were built to be good for a long time. Then you had some one and dones, like the Falcons made the Super Bowl, kind of dipped out. The Eagles had their Super Bowl and then kind of dropped off. You want longevity. You don't want this to be just like you went in 1 year and then kind of lost it all. So I don't know how they're going to attack this. I'm looking at, if you look at ways you want to go to the Super Bowl, I mean, look at the team they beat, right? The Bengals. They were not supposed to be in the Super Bowl this year. They weren't supposed to be in the playoffs. They were what you call way ahead of schedule. and I think it's an extreme version like the Eagles. The Eagles were supposed to be a rebuilding team. They're ahead of schedule because they made the playoffs. So now their future's better. But Bengals are that times a million because they made the Super Bowl. So now it's like, okay, you got the young team on cheap contracts because they're all young rookies or second year, third year players. So you have money to work with. You can fix that horrendous offensive line. You can add some defensive weapons, get rid of Eli Apple. Just like you have so much room to build and room to grow, and your window is so much larger. The Rams had to win this year. This was it. This is it. Because I have no idea what that team is going to look like next year. I have no clue. I'm hoping, just for the sake of like Stafford and if Beckham resigns, that they can figure out how to retool and get really creative. I don't know. I'm not a huge knowledge into what their GM style other than their GM style, other than giving up a bunch of picks. But I don't know how crafty he'll be. As far as trying to wiggle around the salary cap problem, and the fact that they have no picks. It's gonna be interesting what the Rams do. Yeah. I guess we can go on to my Super Bowl review. Just talk about the game. It was a good game. It was a good game. I think I hated the way it ended. For such a good game, I hated the way that it basically ended on that holding call that should have been a holding call. I know T. Higgins pulled a face mask. It was a makeup call because that shouldn't have been a score anyway. I get that. But to end a Super Bowl that was going down to the wire on a play like that to set up the end is just rough. And it kind of like I was root for the Bengals, but like I just wanted a fun ending, and that kind of took that away. Because then it's like, oh well, Rams are gonna win. Because Burrow was like playing on one leg, he couldn't really do much after he got hurt. It's like, well, I was critical about Zach Taylor, the Bengals coach, prior to the game because he's not like a coach that like wows you, as being such a great coach. But he played. It was a good game. Throughout he coached a good game. He threw some trickery in there. He wasn't afraid to get bold, to play bold, to go for it. It was good. And then the 4th and 1 came to end it. And so Joe Burrow gets sacked, 7 times all game? So you decide on 4th and 1 to drop him back with that horrendous offensive line. He had no time to breathe. The fact that he got that ball off was fantastic, but when you have Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon, you have to have them out wide, and you have to have them sitting there so he can just check down real quick. You do check down real quick. You only need 1 yard. Just quick throw, Jamar Chase, he'll get a yard. Quick pitch, Joe Mixon, do it. Run the ball. I know it's tough to run the ball, especially against the Rams and with your offensive line, but sure better than dropping Burrow back. It was just, I personally saw a mistake there. I don't think that should have been the call, offensively, especially against Donald, Miller, the nights they were having. Just a disappointing way to end a really good game. Yeah, halftime show, fantastic. I very, very much enjoyed that. It was a good overall, like the Rock at the beginning doing his intro. It was a fun Super Bowl. I kind of forgot like there was a game going on at some point at like different points because everything around it was so good, so well done. You had all the stars in the booth jamming to the halftime show. Braun was there. Like all these people. Kawhi, Paul George. Like it was just a really fun time. it was a good Super Bowl. I just wish it would have ended better. Um, so yeah, I know this isn't a yeah, it's my channel, so I'm going to talk about basketball a little bit. Um, the Sixers trade for James Harden. Um, James Harden, two future first round picks. To get James Harden, they traded two future first round picks, Ben Simmons, Andre Drummond, Seth Curry, to get James Harden and the MVP Paul Millsap. And um, I've been there's been like a war going on social media, um, on like you're seeing like Mina Kimes and Stephen A. and all these people like saying, "Oh, well, Stephen A. was more talking about how the Nets won the trade by far. I'll get into that, but it was like, oh, Sixers fans are so terrible to Ben Simmons and mean. It's like if you look at each of those people that said that, if you go like a year back, a few months back, heck, a few weeks back, it was uh in Mr. Brickhouse, making fun of his free throw percentage, making fun of the uh, open pass dunk, all these things, saying that the Sixers couldn't get anything for him, saying that we should have settled for Buddy Hield or Jeremy Grant or all these settle for CJ McCollum, and then we get James Harden, which is like we get James Harden, keep your young core, which was I was saying about the Rams. You kept your young core, you kept Tyrese and Thibault, um, and you give up two players that are going to be free agents at the end of the year anyway to get James Harden, and it's like now everyone's upset. Oh, they gave up too much. They shouldn't have given it to the Nets. Yada yada. They're being all the stuff about Ben Simmons, and it's like now everyone's a Ben Simmons fan, and it's just like goes back to the it's like real. Like I'm not even trying to be like an upset sports fan for the city. It is real. The hate that gets put on the city and the bias because of the fans, because they don't like our they don't feel like our passion is the right kind of passion. They think we're too harsh when we just want to see our players succeed, and we get disappointed when they don't. Which is like, who wouldn't want that? I'm just like, if you don't do that, you're boring. Like, I don't know why booing's a bad thing. Now it's a bad thing. It's just frustrating, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the Sixers. We got blown out by like 50 points tonight, but I'm not overthinking that because we're getting James Harden. We played a back-to-back 2 nights ago, beat the Cavs. Just we were playing really well, and we were probably really tired, and we're undermanned because remember, no Andre, no Seth, and then Harden's not playing. So I'm not overthinking it. It's a bad loss, but I'm not overthinking it. So yeah, I guess I'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for watching, listening. Names for this show. If you want me to do weekly, let me know. I'll throw something together weekly, but I want to make sure it's because people want to watch it. I won't put out weekly stuff if you guys aren't interested, because I want to give the people what they want. But give me ideas on what to talk about. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Johnny Rhoda, and at Sad Birds Fan, at Sad Birds Fan, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that. I'll try to get some more TikToks out as well. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and peace out.